All right, everybody, welcome back to the Beans No Ball podcast. This is our 10th episode. Made it a long way so far, so let's get it going right here.
Yeah, so this is a milestone for us so far. Our 10th episode, just already almost halfway through actually we're halfway through the season. Actually, as a matter of fact, it's about week 9, right?
Going into week 9.
Yeah, so we're halfway through the season, man. So far, the season has been well. A bunch of good stuff. You know, the podcast has been doing, I would say, fairly reasonable, fairly good. Well, but yeah. So obviously, let's get it going. So before we actually get started with the recap, we're gonna throw in the trade deadline news. So obviously, to start things off, there was a total of I think it was 10 players.
Something like it was more.
It was a good amount. It was history though. It was history. A lot of
players. It's pretty quiet around the deadline. Sure, there's a couple deals, but this deadline, those a couple big name guys moving around. Obviously, those a little before deadline day that we've already gone over, but there's some big names switching teams now. So let's get it started. And first off, we had Roquan Smith getting traded from the Bears to the Ravens, which obviously, with a really struggling Ravens defense, that's going to be something that you would really hope helps bolster them up. And, you know, that kind of takes some pressure off Lamar from always having to really take over games. He'll kind of have the defense to back him up for once. You would hope.
Yeah, I mean, that trade. We already saw when I think when Robert Quinn got traded to the Eagles. You see how emotionally he took that. Honestly, I kind of felt for him because, you know, they were good friends. But I mean, now that he's traded, I guess he's good now that he left the Bears. But another defensive player that got traded, Bradley Chubb from the Broncos, got traded to the Miami Dolphins. I honestly think this is a very, very good pickup for Miami, especially with that defense right now. It has a little bit of miscues, you know, here and there. You know, obviously that defense led by Xavier Howard, but adding Bradley Chubb to that linebacker corps, man, it's going to be really good for those Dolphins, you know, for that defense. I feel like he could possibly be the player to possibly change that defense around, maybe the team. That might be a little long shot, but for sure that defense is gladly going to improve in many, many ways.
Yeah, I mean, you basically took it all there. The main other thing to look at from this trade is the business the Dolphins have been making. It really goes back to that deal they made with the Niners, that when obviously the Niners really jumped on the opportunity and sent all those picks to the Dolphins to get Trey Lance for themselves. But now with those picks, the Dolphins have turned that into obviously trading for Tyreek Hill with one of those picks, using one of them to get Jalen Waddle, and now using that final pick to get Bradley Chubb. So it's you know, obviously got a great business with the front office in Miami. And moving on, we'll have a kind of to me a little unexpected, but once we saw the injury news that did come out, now you see why. TJ Hawkinson is on his way to the Minnesota Vikings, which first I was a bit surprised, but we did hear also that Irv Smith Jr. is gonna miss some time, so that tight end role is wide open now, and that obviously Hawkinson's gonna take over, which he is obviously in the past couple years became one of the premier tight ends in the league. And obviously we both know how high I am on the Vikings this year, and to me this is just going to be another reason they're just going to run away with the NFC North. Just gives Kirk Cousins another really valuable weapon here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a very another outstanding weapon for Kirk Cousins. You know, they're one of the good teams in the NFC right now, in the hierarchy of the NFC right now, behind the Eagles. But yeah, adding TJ Hawkinson to that tight end core, I feel like he's gonna be even better for that. I feel like spread open the ball game. Not the ball game. I'm sorry. Spread the passing game even more. You know, especially when you have Dalvin Cook and Alex Mattinson in the backfield at running back. Get that run game going. Open up the pass game for those tight ends and those receivers. And TJ Hawkinson can do that. He is that guy. Another trade that was honestly pretty surprising for me. The Jaguars trading for Calvin Ridley from the Atlanta Falcons. Now, if you really want to think about it, they basically pre-ordered him since he is suspended for the whole season. So when I saw this, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, they're just gathering up receivers for what, right? The Jaguars, they had some hope in the beginning of the season. They were first in their division for I think a week or two, but obviously they went into shambles, so it was really bad. But honestly, I feel like trading for Calvin Ridley, I don't think this was such a wise move. I would honestly say Atlanta won this trade because the Jaguars, they're not going to benefit anything from it this season. So in my eyes, I feel like this trade was kind of worthless on the Jaguar side.
Yeah, I mean, there's two ways to look at it. Obviously, sure, they're not getting nothing this year, but they are getting one of the top receivers in the league for the future, and that's hopefully gonna help Trevor Lawrence really grow. Hopefully, because obviously we saw they really splashed the wide receiver market this offseason with Zay Jones and Christian Kirk, but I mean the main thing you really got to look at is. They only gave up a 5th and a 4th rounder, which sure it just depends on how good the draft class and who the Falcons end up picking up with those picks. But it seems like a low risk deal for the Jaguars, and I mean only time will tell if this becomes Trevor Lawrence's top option. Then I mean obviously this is a real smart move for them for the future, and I mean obviously we have another receiver on the move. This one has been speculated for quite some time, but Chase Claypool finally on his way out of Pittsburgh. He's traded to the Chicago Bears, which obviously we expected Claypool to go. The Bears would not have been my first option to say who would have gotten him. I probably would have expected a contender, but I mean, hey, they're trying to get Justin Fields some more weapons. It's just been rough, obviously in a tough division with the NFC North. But I mean, I don't really see this being as too much of a factor in the recent struggle for the Bears. It kind of seems like a pointless trade with you completely get rid of your 2 best defensive players and just throw in another piece. I mean, it seems like you're kind of messing with what was expected to kind of go into another little rebuild, but. I mean, we'll see what the Bears are trying to cook up for the rest of the year here.
Yeah, honestly, this one was it was a weird trade to me for the Bears. I mean, their offense, I think they're ranked top 3 in the pass offense. So obviously, adding a receiver to this would be okay. But I mean, with the receivers that the Bears have, I mean, most of them are okay, But I feel like Chase Claypool, I feel like he'll possibly turn this Bears offense around, if he's actually like committed and if he's not always messing around, with the TikTok happening I think it was last year and all this and that. But in all honesty, I mean, another weapon for Justin Fields. We see how he's been improving, but on the Bears side, I don't think this was really a good trade. Although for the Steelers, George Pickens, this is most likely going to get his opportunity now. Deontay Johnson, he's finally going to get more targets, hopefully. He's probably going to have to step up a bit now. George Pickens, finally going to get some time to shine. Fantasy side, this should be good for George Pickens owners, possibly. But moving on from that trade, another defensive trade that happened was the Steelers traded for the Commanders cornerback, William Jackson III. Personally, I really haven't been watching Commanders, but especially William Jackson III. I haven't really been keeping up with that, but I guess it would be good for that Steelers defense. Minkah Fitzpatrick has been carrying that defense the whole time. He really can't do it alone. I feel like adding William Jackson into the lineup could probably help the Steelers a bit. But I mean, with the way the team is right now, I mean, I don't think this trade is really going to help them.
Yeah, gonna really have to agree with you on with your take there. It just doesn't really seem to that's going to be too much of an impact. I mean, sure, Jackson's a great corner, but I don't know. Just the Steelers' direction, I wouldn't expect them to buy. I mean, you see them getting rid of Claypool. You expect them to be sellers, but Uh, this is just a kind of a puzzling move in my opinion, and I mean, sure, I mean it'll help them a bit, maybe get another win or two throughout the year, but I don't know, you would kind of expect them to just kind of embrace the rebuild a little bit more and just get a better pick to see what they can work with in the draft. But another trade, this one being basically the two big names in one. We got Nyheim Hines getting traded from the Colts. This one was another that was kind of expected. He was a big name on the running back market, and he goes to a team that I've been saying could be a running back away from really just running away with it. It's to the Bills, and obviously they're getting back Zach Moss, which two pretty good running backs swapping spots. Obviously a couple picks going on in between, but obviously you see the Bills win this trade. It's they get a really good running back that has kind of just been in the shadows of Jonathan Taylor, which I mean with his injuries, Hines has been able to kind of step up a bit and show what he can do. And now in the Bills offense, sure, he has Singletary to kind of compete with, but I think he's going to get a stronger workload, and I'm pretty sure fantasy owners will be happy to see him get more carries and hopefully be a little more effective as the season goes on.
Yeah. And then another trade also, it was the Dolphins once again. The Dolphins trading for Jeff Wilson from the 49ers. So, adding another receiver to this deadly receiver core right now, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Having Jeff Wilson possibly at receiver 3. Really, they traded for a defensive player, Bradley Chubb, and then they're trading for a receiver, Jeff Wilson. Right now, I think the Dolphins I think they're in a good spot from where they're at right now, especially in that division against in the AFC East, competing with the Bills. I really doubt they're going to take over the Bills. Without a doubt, they're not going to be able to. They could probably sneak in maybe in the 5th, 6th seed. I could possibly see that for the Miami Dolphins, especially being 2 in the early, somewhat early start of the season with the concussion. But definitely adding Jeff Wilson, he was pretty utilized well in San Francisco. So adding Jeff Wilson to this receiver core, man, I feel like the Miami could possibly make a run for the remaining of the season.
Yeah, I mean that's. Like we said, it was a really eventful trade deadline. We're not really expected to see this just as football fans, but it was obviously a real treat to see. But that wraps up our little rundown of the trade deadline, obviously. So let's get into back to our regular routine and start off with a week 8 recap. Starting off on Thursday night, we were treated to a pretty good game. Ravens Buccaneers is just another rough night for Brady. I mean, the score kind of it's a little closer than it was. It was a pretty dominant win for the Ravens. I mean, the defense kind of let up after once in the fourth quarter, but I mean, you see they were shut out in the second and third. So I mean, it was a kind of a good ray of hope. Now they got Roquan Smith coming into that defense, but they kind of seem to be hitting their stride a bit. Sure, it's against a struggling Buccaneers team, but I mean, apart from that, just Lamar looked great as ever. And I mean, the Ravens could really be hitting their stride now as a 5-3 team in that really rough AFC North.
I mean, yeah, man. I mean, this game, did I pick the Ravens to win this game?
Yeah, we both
took yeah. So yeah, we did pick the Ravens to win this game, and obviously it was our first win of the week. Oh damn, got hiccups. But yeah, it was just another really disappointing game for Tom Brady. That defense again. That defense had some hope in the beginning of the season with the way they were playing, but offensively now Brady's just looking washed. The team's doing bad. He just recently divorced Giselle. I don't know if that has to do with how he's playing, but regardless, the past couple weeks he's been playing really bad. This was a very, very good win for the Ravens. They're back on their feet on 5-3. They are first in the AFC North, so this is a good sign to look at. Lamar obviously cooking as usual. And with the way the Ravens defense has been struggling a bit, but with the addition to Roquan Smith, I feel like that defense is gonna possibly do slightly better. And all that wraps up the Thursday night game. So moving on to our Sunday slate, we had another London game. We had the Broncos at the Jaguars. I'm sorry, Broncos and Jaguars. God, excuse me, but the Broncos, after being shut out in the first quarter, they scored one touchdown for the second, third, and fourth. Wilson, they finally snapped that losing streak. Wilson, he had a pretty decent game, not gonna lie. Dulcich, tight end of Denver, he had a great game for a rookie. The Jaguars, they looked like they had some hope, but they couldn't get anything going in the third, and I feel because of them not being able to get anything in the third, that kind of ruined their chances of winning. The Broncos did end up scoring 14 points at half, and the Jaguars only had 7. This was honestly a close game. I did not expect it to be this close, to be honest. But the Jaguars, from how they looked in the beginning, doesn't look like they're gonna get far this season. Broncos, they're 3-5. I guess Russell Wilson doing high knees in the plane for 4 hours, I guess, helped. They're 3-5. I really doubt they're gonna be able to make somewhat of a run. I feel like this game, it was against the Jaguars, so I mean, I guess I would consider it a good win for the Broncos from the way they've been playing. But honestly, time will just tell how they go along for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I really expected the Jaguars to take advantage of how sorry the Broncos have been looking throughout this year. But I mean, it was looking good at first. Obviously, 10-3 at half. You expected it to. I mean, for Trevor Lawrence to just kind of run away with this, but obviously that didn't happen, and Russell Wilson kind of just took it over, and he led the Broncos to a win. So I mean, not too much to be said. It was kind of it was always like you said, a close game, but it was just pretty slow overall. But I mean, yeah, hopefully this kind of helps the Broncos go back and kind of get settled again. Obviously, the reports that Nathaniel Hackett was playing for his job here, and honestly he saved himself here. So see how it goes. I'm pretty sure he's on his way out after this year anyway. But I mean, at least to not be fired in week 8, which would have been pretty awful for his first head coaching gig. But just a great win for the Broncos and Nathaniel Hackett. And now moving on to probably the best game of this week, we got the Panthers at the Falcons, which, man, what a finish to that. We got the Panthers looked like they were, the Falcons looked like they were just running away with this, and all of a sudden PJ Walker makes the throw of the year to DJ Moore. Looks like it was gonna be the game winner. They tied it. Obviously, all they needed was the point after to just close it out and finish it. But DJ Moore's celebration, taking his helmet off, that cost him 15 yards, and that ultimately was the difference that they weren't able to make the point after. And then on top of that, Pinheiro did end up missing a game winner that was about 33 yards, I think it was. And obviously that just opened the door for Younghoe Koo, probably another one of the best kickers in the league right now, that he just got a win for the Falcons. So 2 key missed opportunities for the Panthers here that they should have gotten a win. I think they would have ended up in first place in this really unpredictable NFC South, but in the end we got the Falcons on top right now.
Honestly, this game in general was just really, really well. To be honest, looking at the last couple of minutes, the Panthers, we were thinking, like, what could they do, As soon as I saw PJ Walker throw that up, DJ Moore, 2 guys on him, I'm like, what are the odds? As soon as he catches that, I'm like, no way this just happened. And as soon as I saw him take his helmet off, I'm like, he blew it. As soon as he did that, I already knew they're going to get that 15 yards on him, and then look what happened. Missed field goal. Honestly, this is a very heartbreaking loss by the Panthers. DJ Moore is a veteran player. He should know better not to have done this. This cost us the game, not us. This did cost them the game bad. And I knew right missed that PAT, the kicker. As soon as if the Panthers were gonna lose this game, everything was gonna be on DJ Moore, and look what happened. Everything is blamed on DJ Moore, and I think he's rightfully blamed for this. PJ Walker had an astounding game. So did Foreman. I picked him up on fantasy to replace Zeke. I'm not Zeke. To replace Clyde Edwards-Helaire on bye. And man, he got me like 30-something points. So thank God. DJ Moore had a great game, but obviously costed them the game. So moving on to the next game after that, we have my game. The Bears visiting the Dallas Cowboys. Thankfully, my Dallas Cowboys stampeded again on these Bears, 49-29. Now, coming into this game, I was aware that the Bears, I think they were top 3 in the passing offense, and they were 1 in the rushing offense. So, knowing my Cowboys, our defense is horrible against the run. And look what happened. The Bears ran through us the whole game. But thankfully, we did top Prescott. He did really well. 21 completions, 250 yards, 3 total touchdowns, 2 passing, 1 on the ground. That 1 interception that did turn around the game, the momentum, but thankfully we did come back. Now let's talk about Tony Pollard. 14 touches, 131 yards, and 3 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb, 5 receptions, 77 yards, and 1 touchdown. This was all great games by our big 3 right now. So far, Zeke is out with I think a knee injury that he got from against the Lions. Now I don't know. There's no controversy going on who's starting at running back. Jerry Jones stated, wherever Zeke goes, they go, and that's how it is. That defense, not looking at the rush defense, we did have a lot of missed tackles, and that was really, really bad. When you have Montgomery in the backfield, anything could happen. They did go over 200 rushing yards on us, and it was very embarrassing. The pass game, especially when they're passing, they're top 3 in passing offense. We did able to somewhat stop them, but Justin Fields getting a couple garbage time yards, especially being down by 20 and still running the ball. I don't care if it was working. You're down 20 and you're still running the ball, and you couldn't score after 29 points. And they kept running and running and running. They kept running and they couldn't open up the pass game. And I kept saying this over and over again. Once Justin Fields starts to throw, he's not going to be good. And that's what's happening. The first touchdown he threw was called back. I mean, not called back. They got the first down because of I think it was our player Quincy Colston roughing the passer. So they got that touchdown, right? The next touchdown I got was on the fumble that got overturned. They got a touchdown from there. So those 2 touchdowns I feel got obviously off that call. But regardless, this is a great defensive game by the Cowboys and offense, both sides of the ball. Tony Pollard, another outstanding game. Dak Prescott, it's super amazing, ignoring that 1 pick, which was really, really bad. But we're 6-2 coming out of the bye, resting our players. Hopefully Zeke comes back great and healthy, making a bigger run in the end of the season. For the rest of the season, I don't know if we're hosting or we're going to Lambeau against Packers. I have to look into that again. But yeah, we have the Packers after bye week, so this should be a nice, relaxing week next week for us Cowboys fans. Still very upset. Jerry Jones could not do anything for the trade deadline. This close to getting Brandon Cooks, but we would have to pay him $18 million, and it didn't fit the contract compensation. So that I understand, but other than that, great win for us.
Honestly, I'm not really gonna add anything more to that. You basically took it all in stride right there. It was a great win for the Cowboys overall. So I'll just move right on to the Dolphins at the Lions, which this one we both expected to be more of a landslide win, but it became one of the more eventful games this weekend when just a real shootout between Tua and Jared Goff, which I mean wouldn't have really expected that. The Lions ended up going on a pretty big lead. I think they were up like 17-7 or they had a real sizable lead, and Tua came back. Tua's really, coming off that injury, he's just really looking solid. And I mean, sure it's against the 1-6 Lions, but it's just it's still a really big win, especially. I mean, this is the NFL; anything can happen, and you see this a comeback victory here. I mean, with I mean, obviously you see his numbers: 382 yards and 3 touchdowns. It was an extremely solid game for Tua, and I think he's what 5-0 in games that he isn't stretchered out or almost killed. So it's looking like a really solid come up still for Tua this year.
I mean, yeah, Tua coming back from that concussion injury that he got against the Bengals. Yeah, it looks really good for him. I mean, like you said, it is the Lions, but I mean, then again, think about it. The Lions do have a very good offense. I think they're still ranked number 1 in total offense, but it's really just that defense. They're dead last in basically everything. That's what's really holding them back. The Lions, if we're being realistic, the Lions are better than what the record shows, but sadly, it honestly doesn't matter, with such a great offense, and horrible defense. Like, what else can you do, to be honest? That defense is really holding them back. That defensive coordinator is most likely going to be gone for the Lions, probably by the end of the season, because 1-6, man. This, honestly, like how you said, the Lions were starting to be a little more likable this season. We wanted the Lions to succeed, especially with Jared Goff there. But that defense is just bad. And in general, that offense, they couldn't do anything in the second quarter. The second half. They couldn't get anything going. They're shut out in the second quarter. Could not do anything. The offense took over in the third, and in the fourth quarter, it was just donuts for both teams. But although it was an outstanding game for Tua, Raheem Mostert had a decently good game. Tyreek Hill popping off as usual, 188 yards, 12 touches. Really good for the Dolphins right now. Futures fright. The Lions still stuck down there. Now moving on to our next game, where it was another decent game, which was also the return of DeAndre Hopkins. The Cardinals visiting the Vikings, and the Vikings, obviously one of the powerhouses in the NFC right now, 6-1. They get the dub over the Cardinals. Kyler Murray, I think he's playing too much Call of Duty, playing the new MW too much. I don't think that's helping him win. 3-5. Dalvin Cook, though, man, 20 carries, 111 yards, and a touchdown. Dalvin Cook obviously did his job. Really played a factor to these Vikings W. Justin Jefferson had a decently good game. I think he had like 90-something yards, 98. DeAndre Hopkins returned, though. 12 catches, 159 yards, and a touchdown. Sadly, that wasn't enough. The Cardinals were one of the favorites coming into the season in general, but sadly, they're 3-5. They really haven't been progressing at all. They came up just short. Kyler Murray really, he just can't finish. Since Kyler got drafted, I think it was 2019 when he got drafted.
Yep.
Yeah, 2019. When I always liked Kyler, especially watching him in college. I love Kyler, especially when he came to the league. Regardless of what he said about my Cowboys, I still like Kyler. I really love him as a person, as a player too, but he just can't finish the job. And it's sad, like a player that you admire a lot, and he just isn't winning for his team. Even with the return of DeAndre Hopkins, we all know Kyler Murray does well with D-Hop, but it just wasn't enough. And that Cardinals defense also, it's not looking the best either.
Yeah, I mean, I think I will correct you. D-Hop did come back last week against the Saints, but I mean, still, that doesn't take nothing away from just a incredible game from him. And sure, I mean, like we say, the stuff for Kyler, it wasn't a bad game.
Yeah.
Realistically, I mean, sure, I mean the Call of Duty jokes, all the film jokes and all that, but I mean, still look at it: 326 yards and 3 touchdowns. He put the team in a position to win. It wasn't enough, unfortunately, with the factors of the Cardinals defense not really stepping up, and just the Vikings defense really stepping up right at the end when they needed it. But like you were saying about D-Hop, he was just phenomenal. You see the touchdown he got, a one-handed snag in the end zone behind a wonderful coverage by Harrison Smith. It's like you said, fucking D-Hop's down there somewhere, and he just pulled in just another catch that just wows you as a fan. But overall, the Vikings are the team that got the win. Give them the credit. Kirk Cousins just continues this really decent run, and so no major numbers by Justin Jefferson, but still a quiet good game for him, and the rest of the Vikings offense in general. So 6-1. My prediction holds strong so far, and let's hopefully the Vikings keep this going. So moving on, we got just a really disappointing game here. We both took the Raiders to beat the Saints, and it's just I mean, what can you say? Shutout for the first time. I believe they said since like 2016 or something like that. And I mean, I would always keep saying that I believe the Raiders are a lot better than their record, and I still do believe that. But this was just an ugly game overall for them. It's gonna be ugly when you let Andy Dalton cook you for 229, 2 touchdowns, nothing too crazy, but I mean still 24-0. That the score speaks for itself. And I mean you see Alvin Kamara having an amazing game with 3 overall touchdowns, 1 rushing and 2 receiving, and really showing his versatility as a dual threat. But I mean, just a great game for the Saints overall. Let's not take away from that, but still just really poor from the Raiders right now.
I mean, yeah, there really isn't much to say. You know, coming into the season, I already knew from the get-go the Raiders were not going to do well. Even with acquiring Devontae Adams, I already feel like he wants to leave already. So much for that Fresno State connection. Really worthless, to be honest. And, you know, Andy Dalton obviously proved me wrong once again. I thought he wasn't going to do well against these Raiders, but as soon as I kept looking at the score back-to-back, I'm like, darn, just shut it again. Just really poor game by the Raiders. I mean, Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels. Horrible coach. I don't know what the Raiders were thinking about signing him. I don't know. Again, I'm going to say this again. He was horrible when he was the coach with the Broncos. I don't know what the Raiders thought about signing him. Even Patriots fans know that he wasn't a good head coach. Offensive coordinator, he's well, but they already knew he was not going to succeed as a good coach. But the Raiders, man, it just really, really bad for the Raiders. Saints 3-5, possibility making a run, but you know, if Andy Dalton can stay consistent, no bad games from here on out, the Saints could possibly take the division better than the Falcons. Now moving on to our next game, which is a pretty disappointing game by one side. The Patriots visit the Jets, and the Patriots came on top of it. Zach Wilson threw for 355 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he had a very sloppy game. Most of those yards were kind of garbage time, I'm not going to lie. Garrett Wilson, the rookie, he did have a decently good game. 6 catches, 115 yards. The Patriots, looks like it was good against a good Jets team. You know, you had Sauce Gardner lined up on defense. So, I mean, who knew these Patriots receivers were going to get open, but somehow they did, and it worked out. But yeah, I mean, obviously it was a great game by the Patriots, bouncing back. They're 4-4, obviously still competing with the Bills in the AFC East. I did have the Patriots as one of my playoff teams, but from the looks of it, it doesn't look as well. But there's nothing really anything else much I could say about this game besides it was a poor game by Zach Wilson. Didn't help anything at all. Elijah Moore now, that chemistry is gone. But yeah, it was good by the Patriots. Jets, they still got some hope.
I mean, yeah, it was an ugly game overall by the Jets, but I mean, I don't think hope is lost by any means. I mean, there's somewhat of a winning culture there right now that kind of just instills itself. And sure, you lose to a pretty subpar Patriots team, but I mean, you take it what it's worth. I mean, it's you're still 5-3. You're still in a relatively good position, but I mean, like you said about Elijah Moore, I think you said, yeah, he's
Moore.
He wanted to be on his way out. I honestly would have expected him to be traded today, but surprisingly enough, he wasn't. So I mean, maybe they do rekindle the relationship in that just with the team in general. And I mean, for the sake of what the Jets have going so far, I mean, you would hope, because I mean, it is a nice story to see both New York teams in success right now. But aside from that, pretty big news, obviously. The legendary head coach Bill Belichick has now officially this week passed the legendary Bears coach from the past, George Halas, and he with his 325th victory. Obviously, just a big accomplishment for probably one of the best coaches of all time. He just has a little bit longer to catch Don Shula. So obviously you assume he'll get there with the resurgence that it seems the Patriots have been making, but leave that where it is, and let's move on to our next game, which is Battle of Pennsylvania with the Steelers and the Eagles. This one was basically over before it started. Not too much that we'll get into here. It's just man, let's talk about AJ Brown. Just on 6 receptions, 156 yards and 3 touchdowns. Just easily, I would say, the player of the week offensively. You see, obviously, Jalen Hurts really benefited from his receiver here with 285 yards and 4 passing touchdowns, which it just goes to show how great this Eagles team really is. I mean, they're up to 7-0, and just not much to say. They're just easily the best team in football right now. Just obviously that's got you a little worried with how your Cowboys look great overall, but still in a really rough division. It's gonna be tough, obviously. And on a lesser note, you see the 2-6 Steelers. It's tough to see what direction they're heading. Obviously, you would think they'd be sellers, as we were talking about in the deadline segment, but obviously they got rid of basically their wide receiver one in Claypool, but then they start bolstering the defense. So you wonder what direction these guys are trying to head in. But I guess the one last thing I could say is it's just really not looking good for Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, you pretty much wrap that up. Like you said, me as a Cowboys fan, hate to admit that the Eagles are doing very, very well right now, 7-0. Honestly, when the Steelers did score their first touchdown, I was like, no way the Steelers just scored on that. Could it possibly be a close game? And then I got to the second quarter, I'm like, never mind, I was wrong. Because, man, Jalen Hurts obviously on the run for MVP. Obviously, he's competing with pretty much him and Josh Allen. I would say the top competitors right now. Miles Sanders had another great game. Now let's talk about AJ Brown. 6 catches, 156 yards, 3 touchdowns. Another phenomenal game by AJ Brown. He definitely helped me in fantasy win this week, which is very, very good for me. I'm still a hater. Eagles are going to lose sooner or later. They do have a very easy schedule remaining. I'm praying on their downfall. I'm waking up every day just to hate, just to pray for them to lose. And that is going to be us in Dallas with Dak Prescott. Hornswoggle. Write that down right now. But yeah, it was a great game by the Eagles. Steelers, obviously, like you said, bad for Kenny Pickett. Sorry. They're 2-6. Mike Tomlin, obviously, great head coach, but this is most likely going to be his first losing season in his whole career. But that doesn't look past at the point that this team is pretty much struggling ever since Big Ben left, and hasn't even been a whole season yet, and it just shows how much they've been struggling. So then moving on to the next game, I would say it was a pretty boring game. The Titans visit the Texans. Obviously, this is a quick recap game. Look at Derrick Henry, 32 carries, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns. Look what we said. Derrick Henry pops up. Ryan Tannehill has to do nothing, and they managed to win by 7 points against these 1-5-1 Texans. Titans, they bounced back from sucking in early in the season, the 5-2, top of the division. This division is probably going to be theirs once again. You don't really expect it's the Colts, the Texans, and the Jags. Yes, you don't really expect any of those teams to try and catch up to them. This is most likely to be Titans division. David Mills had a very subpar game. Didn't really do much. 152 yards. Brandon Cooks, 4 catches, 73 yards. Poor Brandon Cooks. I thought the Cowboys were going to trade for him. Really made me sad. But yeah, it was a good win for the Titans. Derrick Henry ran through that defense. Texans.
Yeah, like you said, not too much to go over here. Another quick correction for you was Malik Willis, not Ryan Tannehill in there. And
Malik. I
That
keep
was
forgetting
just
he was really good.
my just really smart decision to go with my gut and try to start him in fantasy this week instead of Matt Stafford. And that don't
And look
even
what
get too much into that. That was probably the worst decision I've made in a while.
I literally told you. Well,
I know you did, but I just wanted to go with my gut there, but not not a smart call. But overall, I mean, like you said, Derrick Henry goes off. The Titans really, I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, Malik Willis didn't even have to do much, obviously, to get this victory. But I mean, it was a close game. So I mean, that kind of does show that there's some growth to be seen for him. I do have hope for what he can possibly be, but like I said, it's going to take some growth from him. But I mean, yeah, not too much to be said overall here. Let's move on to another pretty boring overall, but a really great ending to this Commanders Colts game. It was, I mean, obviously you see only 7-6 going into the fourth quarter, but I mean the scoring turned up a bit, and it ended up with a touchdown to right at the end by Taylor Heineke to win the game. And I mean, the Commanders seem to be feeling a lot better at quarterback with Heineke than they did with Carson Wentz. And I mean that's something that we were kind of assuming was going to happen from the start. I mean, I would much like this to be a situation just like what the Colts are doing with Matt Ryan. Just bench him. I mean, you pay the money, but I mean, what's the point? You probably got someone better on the bench anyway. And I don't know too much about Sam Ellinger with the Colts, but in this situation with the Commanders, it just really seems a lot smarter to roll with Heineke.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a pretty lackluster game. Really, really wasn't much, especially with even with Matt right now. The Colts still really can't get anything done. And we thought Matty Ice was probably going to turn the team around. Now he's injured. The 3-4-1. Commanders looks like they're making a bounce back, but Taylor Heineke, Carson Wentz did not look like the answer. Jonathan Taylor did all he could, 16 carries, 76 yards, but it really didn't do much. Really couldn't help the team. Colts, they're gonna finish up ugly. It's gonna be a long season for them to finish off with the Commanders. So it was an okay win for the Commanders. Very boring game overall. Now moving on to the next game. This is your game, the Niners at the Rams. So I'll let you have your rant once again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna go too big. I mean, I'll give my takes obviously, but I'm not gonna go too crazy like the last couple rants I have had. But I mean, yeah, where do I begin? Just my main thing was hopefully the defense can, like, as long as we can contain McCaffrey. We lost. I mean, the Niners losing out on Deebo Samuel for this game looked like a positive for us, but it just gave McCaffrey his opportunity to just absolutely go off. He went for a triple crown, which, I mean, that's just the last thing I would have expected. He threw for a touchdown, caught a touchdown, and ran a touchdown. So I mean, just I don't know what else to say. He just absolutely torched us, and I mean, I expected so much better going into halftime, up 14-10. And it's usually McVay has a great track record when he's up. I think he's only lost to the Niners this week and week 18 last year when he's like, these are his only losses when he's leading at halftime in his career, which that just goes to show how much the Niners own us. It's now up to 8 in a row in the regular season. Although I will still hold on to we won when it mattered. I mean, that's all I can hold on to at this point. But man, I mean, usually I say the defense is usually our only bright spot, and that kind of just goes out the window in the second half of this game. Just really letting McCaffrey just torch us in general, and then just, I mean, making Jimmy G look like an elite quarterback, which, I mean, anyone knows that that's not the case. He just completely goes off against the Rams. It's just I don't know, just ugly. I mean, even our best spot, not really, not really hitting their stride. Which, I mean, it was the day that Stafford finally did have a good game. He was actually targeting Allen Robinson, and I believe Robinson did get a touchdown on Sunday. But just I mean, like I said, I mean, just now the offense was actually hitting, which not in the second half. Sure, we were just shut out, but that first half it just looked so promising. Just really spreading the ball out, and then all of a sudden it just went downhill. Hopefully we regroup. We got a struggling Bucks team coming up, so that's I hope the pessimism comes back just watching this football team, and I don't know. I guess that's all I really got for just the weekly disappointment I get every Sunday watching this football team.
It was a nice, sad, depressing rant. But I will do agree with you. There's a lot of things that the Rams do need to fix. So it just recently also heard too that they did offer the Panthers 2 first-round picks for Brian Burns,
which
is pretty retarded since that offense is very, very horrible right now.
Sure, I mean, yeah, just we don't need that. I mean, the main deal that I really wanted to see us make is, I mean, as unfortunate as it seems, I needed to offload Cam Akers to a team that would actually use him and either pick up a running back, pick up a receiver to alleviate Cooper Kupp, or really just get some O-line help. But obviously we did absolutely nothing at the deadline. I know you feel the same about your Cowboys that didn't do much, but just I don't know.
I'm telling you, we're sending OBJ.
It just really we're getting OBJ back. Don't worry about that. But man, I just really expected some magic from Les Snead this deadline, but that just wasn't going to be the case here.
Yeah, you pretty much cover that in the most depressing way possible, David. I'm so sorry about your pain. I'm so sorry. I really don't know what else to say, but moving right along, we have our third to last game. We have the Giants at the Seahawks. Now, this one was going to be a good game from the get-go. This is the only 2 teams with a winning record last week that were going to go up against each other. And, man, did the Seahawks show out. Geno Smith, man, 212 yards and 2 touchdowns. He is really proving everybody wrong. Everyone looks back at Geno Smith from the drum when he was on the Jets. It looked bad. Saquon Barkley had a really subpar game, 20 carries, 53 yards, 1 touchdown, probably his worst game so far. Darius Slayton had a decent game, 5 catches at 66 yards. But, man, that's Seahawks, man. That defense also stepped up. That young and fast defense, man, could be possibly a Legion of Boom, maybe a Legion of Speed. Who knows? But, yeah, great win by the Seahawks, taking down the Red Hot Giants. This is good for my Cowboys, too. We're now second in the division, so this is good. I like this a lot. But, yeah, what else to say? I guess we can say that the Seahawks won this trade, trading away Russell Wilson to the Broncos, and it looks like Geno Smith is probably going to be their guy.
Obviously, this was our second disagreement of the week, and you got the better, obviously, in both of them. This one, just I expected Daniel Jones to outduel Geno, and obviously that was my mistake. Just Geno also obviously making his own case to stay in the running against Jalen Hurts for a possible MVP. I mean, it's a little more far-fetched, but I mean, the way he's going, it's not out of the question, obviously. But I mean, just the Seahawks probably one of the surprises of the season. Just coming back to see how they were expected to easily be called the bottom of the NFC West once again, but I mean, they lead it now. They're well, I mean, obviously I think they only really got the Niners as competition right now, with obviously my Rams not doing anything and the Cardinals really struggling. But I don't have too much to say, just apart from I mean, as much as it pains me to say this, the Seahawks just look really good. They're starting to look for real, and they could possibly make a deep run in the playoffs. And I mean, just the legend of Geno Smith grows, man. So yeah, moving right along from that, we got our Sunday nighter, which yeah, the Packers at the Bills. We expected a pretty lopsided game here, and for the most part, it was. The Packers did start making it close, a little closer in near the end with a fourth quarter touchdown, but overall, it was just another one of those games for the Bills. It was that Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs connection. I mean, once again, obviously it was 218 and 2 touchdowns for Josh Allen, and 108 and 1 touchdown of that went to Stephon. So just honestly, it wasn't the biggest game for Diggs, but obviously it was enough to get them a pretty sizable win against a struggling Packers team, which Stephon probably spent most of this game just jawing at Jair Alexander and just going just through the tunnel on the field and starting to scuffle with him. But just overall, to me, it's just goes to show how lethal this Bills team is. You know, up to 6-1, undefeated at home, and just I mean, yeah, not much else to say. They're just the team to beat in the AFC.
Yeah, obviously we knew from the get go that the Bills were going to win this one, and it did show it. The Bills' offense, man, that offense, finally that defense is healthy back to who it was. This is looking very lethal, and obviously I'm forgetting again, saying that they're going to miss playoffs. I had no idea why I said that. Obviously, Josh Allen looking like the MVP candidate he is. Amazing. Aaron Jones, I mean, at least he did me good in fantasy, which is good. Stephon Diggs had a phenomenal game. I like how everyone was saying that Jair owns him. Like Jair wasn't even lined up on him the whole game. He was lined up on him like a couple snaps, and that's it. The Packers don't even have confidence of the cornerback one regarding the receiver ones. So, I mean, honestly, that argument is pretty stupid. The Stephon would have owned them. And this game clearly shows the 6 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. He cooked that Packers secondary. Obviously, my Cowboys do play the Packers in 2 weeks, coming off their bye. So I honestly do expect them to beat them. From the way they're struggling, not looking good for Rodgers at all. Probably going to be a bad final season. Obviously, if he's not if he's not off of perk 30, he's not going to do well. So moving on to our final game of Week 8, our Monday nighter Halloween special, the Bengals at the Browns. I did not expect this game to be how it turned out. The Browns stampeded over these Bengals. I thought it was going to be a bad game because it was 0-0 after the first quarter, but the second quarter, the Bills completely shut them out, and until the third quarter as well. They couldn't get anything barely in the fourth started, but 32-13, that was the score. Jacoby Brissett really showed out. So did Nick Chubb, 101 yards, 2 touchdowns, and man, Amari Cooper, ignoring that horrible pick he threw, he had a great game. 5 catches, 131 yards, and a touchdown. I miss him so much. I miss Cooper, but I'm glad he's still thriving on another team, a team that's struggling, but still. 3-5 Browns. Now the 4-4 Bengals. This was a great game by the Browns. Honestly, they really proved me wrong. But I mean, then again, it is the Browns. Anything can happen with them in the next weeks.
Yeah, I mean the Browns proved both of us wrong. Obviously, we both assumed not easy in any way, but we assumed a Bengals win. And obviously I didn't watch. I mean, we were both obviously out last night, so we didn't watch this game, but I ended up having to go through some highlights. But overall, I just do mainly remember what I think someone had it on while we were out trick or treating, and you just see an absolute blowout by the Browns, which was just the last thing I'd expected to see. I mean, I would have at least expected a close game if the Browns were going to win, but just, man, it was an absolute domination, and it looks a little closer, 32-13, but I mean, it was just 13 garbage time points in the fourth quarter as I'm looking at it. But yeah, the main thing, you just like you said it, 101 yards and 2 touchdowns by Nick Chubb, really doing me right in my other fantasy league to get me a nice win on Monday night. But this Browns team just looking real bipolar. So some of these days they'll look like a no doubt playoff team, and another day they'll be losing to a real lesser opponents. So I mean, you never know what you're gonna get with these Browns, but it was, I mean, the Monday night they really really put on a show, and who knows what they can do, and especially once Deshaun comes back. So that just about wraps up our recap of Week 8. Now, obviously, Christian, let's go and start covering how our predictions went. And for the first time in our whole 8 weeks doing this, you have surpassed me in the weekly predictions. You went 11-4, and obviously the two disagreements that I got wrong, I went in 6. Your first time to get the better of me. Let's slow it down, and I'll bounce back next week. We'll throw some disagreements into these predictions we'll have right after this. But in the overall records, Christian, you are back up above 500 to 67-56, and I am still comfortably in the lead at 71-52. So, all that being said, let's get it going. Let's go into week 9. Let's start off by just running down the teams we got on bye, which that's the Browns, your Cowboys, Broncos, Giants, Steelers, and Niners. Just give a quick rundown on them. So just first team we just talked about, the Browns. They're I mean, what can you say, man? They're, like I said, they're just bipolar. I mean, I don't know, you would expect this week to really help them settle, and obviously they got Deshaun coming back soon, but Jacoby Brissett's been holding it down. So I mean, to take a good week to settle and see what they got next week.
Yeah, and then obviously the next thing, my Cowboys. I pretty much already covered what he did the couple obviously a decent amount of time ago. Yeah, my Cowboys, obviously this is probably a must win against the Bears. We needed it bad for the division, and thankfully the Giants did lose, which did help us for second. But yeah, it was just a great game by the offense. Defense too, not including the run game. The defense was a little iffy, but they managed to stay strong in the fourth quarter. Yeah, Michael Parsons, beast, Trayvon Diggs proving everybody wrong. We were kind of banged up with injuries to begin with a little bit, but hey, we still managed to come out with the win and open up with the Packers in 2 weeks.
Yeah, next up we got the Broncos, which they get their bye after a nice week in London, which I mean it was a nice bounce back. It was all the stuff you could say, but I still don't see them doing too much after this. It's a nice week to regroup, but I mean, just that team overall, they're going to struggle, especially now that they lost their key defensive asset in Bradley Chubb to the Dolphins. So I can't say I expect much from this team. It's just probably going to go back to the same old. They'll beat some lesser opponents here and there, but they're going to really get pummeled when it comes to a real team.
Yeah, and then moving on to the next team, we have the Giants. So obviously they're coming to the bye with a loss that somewhat hurt them with the division standings. But obviously, as a Cowboys fan, this is great for me. I love when they lose, division rivals lose. So obviously, happy for me. But for the Giants, honestly, I'm gonna be honest, they'll be fine. They'll most likely be fine after their bye week. If they can stay put, Daniel Jones can honestly keep proving us wrong, keep doing what he's doing. Because whatever Brian Daboll is doing, he's doing a great job as a coach. So the Giants, they should be fine coming off the bye. But I mean, right now they do have a little bit of things to fix.
Yeah, and second to last team on bye, the Steelers, which it's just a lot of disappointment from them. As you're saying, it's probably just going to be Mike Tomlin's first losing season, and I mean, what can you say? The main thing I keep preaching. I mean, as much as I had high praise for Kenny Pickett to start, I'm just gonna eat my words and just say, I was wrong about that, and at least give him some more time to develop. But right now it is just not the time to give him. I would just like to see Trubisky come back. you get a bad situation either way. Trubisky, I mean, isn't the greatest option, but he's a veteran and he's got more experience to work with than Pickett. So I mean, I would have to say you got a better chance to pull off some wins if that's what you're looking for. But if they're set on trying to just let down and kind of start a little rebuild and go for a good pick next year, then hey, by all means let Pickett run around and tank a little bit, I guess.
And then our final team, the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously, you're pretty upset about this, but the Niners obviously coming off a dominant win against the Rams on this past Sunday. Really great win, honestly, but hey, Jimmy G always does well against the Rams, but who knows against other teams. Now they're done with the Rams playing the division. So obviously, they're back up. I guess I would say they're in the race once again, so it's looking pretty decent for the Niners. Decent things to fix. Jimmy G needs to work on obviously getting rid of that ball. He needs to work on obviously finishing as well as too. But this Niners they're doing pretty okay. So there are some teams on bye. So now let's get into the predictions of Week 9. So to start things off, we have the Thursday nighter, the Philadelphia Eagles at the Houston Texans. Obviously, no brainer. I don't think we have to go in depth to this, but I got Philadelphia winning this one because obviously they're the best team in the NFL right now, and they're playing Houston. I doubt Houston's probably going to get any points on them.
Yeah, it's not really much to think about here. Easy agreement between us. Come to a consensus to start, but yeah, Eagles go to 8-0 here. It's a short week, but obviously it's kind of a little blessing to see the Texans. Obviously, got a little Philly-Houston rivalry as the World Series is going on at the moment as well. But yeah, just I see Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown having another absolute clinic in this game, and just not much to say. It's going to be a blowout for the Eagles. And to move on, let's just get our Sunday slate going. We got an intriguing matchup with the Chargers and the Falcons, which coming off the bye, the Chargers are hungry after really dropping a couple games that you would have expected them to win. But I'm gonna have to say the Chargers. Just Herbert. I feel like he's gonna be playing mad, and he's gonna come out strong. As good as the Falcons have been looking, we both know. They're top of the division. It's a rough division, and I have to go with the better team here, and that's the Chargers.
I'm going to go with you. The Chargers, they are the better team on paper, but look at the way the Chargers have been inconsistent kind of lately, so it's kind of like a weird decision to go by, but I'm still going to pick the Chargers over Atlanta. Atlanta, they've been doing very well, don't get me wrong, but the Chargers, they're just a slightly better team here. So moving on to the next game, we have the Miami at Chicago. This one should be another no-brainer, possibly another good game with the Bears. Justin Fields has been improving, but I'm going to go with Miami. You got Tua proving everyone wrong. The newly acquired Jeff Wilson added to that receiver court that helped him a bit more. But obviously you got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. What else do you need? That defense of Miami, now they have Bradley Chubb, it's going to be a big difference going to make for that defense, I hope. But yeah, I got Miami coming on top against Chicago.
Once again, we're gonna have to agree. It's Tua's coming out season right here. Can't really say much else, especially now with the Bears losing out on some of their key defensive pieces in Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn. It's gonna be hard for the Bears to adjust, and I'm gonna have to say the Dolphins have just not too crazy, but probably a good 10 to 14 point win here, and just leave it at that. We got another pretty intriguing matchup when you see what directions these two teams are going. Got the Panthers and the Bengals, and I don't know. I'm gonna have to say the Bengals. As much as I kind of want to go with PJ Walker to come away with a nice upset, but I think the Bengals are too good of a team to drop against this much of a lesser opponent. I see Joe Burrow and Jamar having a bounce back game after just a really ugly Monday nighter, and yeah, I'll go with a pretty smooth Bengals win here.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you once again. The Bengals are going to come on top of this against the Carolina Panthers. Like, if we're being realistic here, Panthers should have honestly probably would have won that game if it wasn't for DJ Moore, and it would have been the whole momentum shift would have changed. PJ Walker proving him wrong, obviously not proving him wrong, but kind of showing up that he is that guy over Baker Mayfield. Especially how sadly Baker Mayfield has been doing horrendous. But yeah, I got Cincy coming back again for this W. So then, obviously, moving right along to our next 10 a.m. game with the Green Bay at Detroit. Now, I feel like this is the game where the Green Bay is going to win once again over Detroit. Detroit does have the number one offense, but with that defense, I feel like Aaron Jones, the way he's been feasting lately, I feel like he's going to get, I want to say, at least a 120-plus yard game with Aaron Jones. Aaron Rodgers possibly a bounce back, even though they are still struggling, but it is Detroit, so I'm going to go with Green Bay on this one.
You know what? I'm gonna take the high road here, and I'm gonna say the Lions are gonna beat the Packers this week. You know, it's a surprising move. I just, I kind of have to make shake things up here. I do expect a close game as these usually go. I mean, regardless of how these teams are looking, it's usually a really good game between these two teams. And as much as the Lions are struggling because of their defense, I do honestly think with the Packers' struggles and just how everything's been going, maybe this Lions defense can pick something up here. They're probably still going to give up a good 30 points, but I do believe that the Lions can hang with them, and maybe this will be the week that they just kick it into gear, and they'll do just enough, maybe a game-winning field goal, or just a slight 1-point victory here to just a nice statement game by Jared Goff to get the Lions to 2-6. But I mean, we got another pretty a game that can go both ways up next with the Colts and the Patriots. It's a tough call, honestly, but I'm gonna go with Sam Ehlinger to get his first win as a starter to take down a struggling Patriots team, right? That as we see them right now. I don't think it's much to say. It's gonna be a pretty a game that both teams are gonna really struggle, but I'm gonna say that the Colts come away with this, because I mean, as unpredictable as things can be, I think Ehlinger has a pretty solid game here.
And well, I'm gonna go with the Patriots on this one. With the way, I mean, obviously both teams are struggling, but the Indy has been struggling more. They do have Sam Ehlinger now at quarterback, but I feel like this game, Mac Jones is gonna do his best that he has done against these Colts. So I will go with the Patriots on this one over the Colts. So obviously we're disagreeing once again. Now our next game, obviously this should be another easy matchup for us to call. Buffalo and New York. Honestly, with the way New York's been playing, they're playing pretty well. With Sauce Gardner doing amazing on defense. But I'm gonna have to go with the Bills on this one. We already saw how they did against the Packers, and we've been seeing how we did these past weeks. So obviously, it's the obvious guy to go with the Bills here. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Yep. You said it. It's pretty self-explanatory. Easy call. I'm gonna have to go with the Bills as well. It's I mean, as good as the Jets have been looking, this game against the Patriots, it is gonna hurt them a bit, and obviously now facing easily the best team in the AFC, you gotta take it for what it's worth, and it's gonna be a pretty easy Bills win. Obviously we'll easy agreement there, and I mean I think we got another pretty straightforward game that we'll agree on here. We got the Vikings at the Commanders. Obviously this is my big pick, and realistically with how the Rams are looking, I think this is the team that I would ride throughout to the Super Bowl. So I'm gonna have to say the Vikings with a real sound victory against Taylor Heineke, who obviously I'm really high on, but Kirk Cousins now with his newly added weapon in TJ Hawkinson, I feel like that's gonna be a pretty solid connection, and I'll expect a pretty straightforward Vikings win here.
Yep, gonna have to agree with you. Pretty easy choice. The Vikings 6-1, obviously doing phenomenal. Both sides of the ball. It's really, honestly, it's a one-sided decision here, but yeah, Vikings. I don't really need to explain more of that. Next game, the Raiders and Jacksonville, two both struggling teams. You know, Raiders coming off a game where they got shut out, and Jacksonville coming out from a game where, I mean, they possibly could have won, but couldn't honestly do anything about it. But this game is honestly very tricky. But I'm gonna have to go with the Raiders on this one. Just by maybe I really don't got hope of the Jacksonville winning this game. You know, Trevor Lawrence has been playing really bad, so far lately. So I mean, if Derek Carr can actually get involved and can actually see his receivers and that defense can step up, I got the Raiders winning this easy.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing here is just how Trevor Lawrence plays, and I mean it's the Raiders defense isn't nothing crazy, but I do believe that they'll give him fits, and he's probably gonna get into some turnover trouble as he usually gets in most of these games, but I'm gonna also just easily say the Raiders here. It's probably gonna be a close game, honestly, with two really struggling teams. But to me, it'll be an easy call to say that the Raiders come out on top here. And to move on, we got a really big NFC West matchup here with the Seahawks and Cardinals. This division still very much up for grabs. The Seahawks are slowly starting to pull away, but obviously the pain it is in me to say that how great the Seahawks are, but I'm gonna have to roll with them. It's just Geno Smith. He's playing like an MVP candidate, man, and I'd like to say Kyler, really gives him a run for his money, and I think it'll be a close game, but for the most part, just with everything just seems to be clicking for the Seahawks right now. Just I'll also pretty much I think I'll expect Kenneth Walker to just really go off in this game too.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this game could honestly, like you said, go both ways. But Arizona has the team that has been struggling a lot more than the Seahawks, and obviously it goes by a lot because the Seahawks are doing very well with Geno Smith. That defense obviously has been doing super good so far. Everyone thought that Seahawks were done with we're done when Geno Smith got the start, but hey, he's proving everyone wrong. So obviously, it's obvious here to go with the Seahawks. The next game, this is your game. This game's honestly pretty tricky. The Rams at Tampa. Now, from the way the Rams have been playing, and honestly, I'm going to go with the Bucs on this one. I feel like now this time Brady finally going to get his groove, but they're still struggling a lot. It's going to be hard to make a run, but I mean, it is the NFC South. Anything can happen, so I'm going to go with Tampa Bay on this one. I feel like they're going to get the slight upper hand of the Rams next week.
Obviously, I mean, it's I can see why you say that. Obviously, just as how poor that we've looked, but I'm gonna roll with my Rams. I'm gonna have to say that I feel this poor defensive performance was somewhat of an anomaly against the Niners. I see I expect us to give Brady fits in this game. We've been playing him really good. I think since his move to the Bucs, I don't think we've lost to them. I think every year we've played them and we beat them. I don't see that stopping here. The main thing here is with the offense somewhat getting into a group. They stalled in the second half last week, sure, but if Stafford can look how he did that first half, then I got no worries with a victory. Which as pessimistic as I did seem in the recap on this one, I do think a game against the Bucs is kind of what we need, a struggling Bucs team. Sure, Brady's mad, Brady's hungry, out for blood, but I think he's gonna stay hungry this week and gonna have to to move into week 10 to figure something else out with a Rams victory here. And let's move on to Sunday night with a rematch of the AFC Championship a couple years ago with the Titans and the Chiefs. Now, obviously, they're in very different directions as teams, but the Titans are on a hot streak. They, after starting 0-2, they are 5-2 now. So, they got the same record, but I'm easily gonna have to say the Chiefs here. There's the strength of schedule and the strength of team overall plays a big factor. I do expect Derrick Henry to have a pretty good game here, just because the Chiefs aren't known for the greatest run stop, but it's still gonna have to be a pretty sound win for the Chiefs, as they got obviously Patrick Mahomes and then Travis Kelce, the big connection. So I mean, I'm gonna have to say the Chiefs here.
Yeah, without a doubt. Also, it's gonna be a great game, especially Sunday night. We finally got a good Sunday night game. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Chiefs on this one. Honestly, it's gonna be a close game. I got the Chiefs winning by maybe. Honestly, I'm gonna say 5 to 7 points. That's what I'll say the Chiefs are gonna win by, because it's probably gonna be a good game. With Tennessee, they're rolling out Derrick Henry, obviously doing what he does best, running the ball. If he can do that, they might step away with the win. But with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Juju finally doing well, and like the rest of those great guys, receivers, and that defense of Kansas City is pretty bad. But I feel like they can walk away with this W. But I would say a comfortable win. So to close out Week 9, we have our Monday nighter, Baltimore at New Orleans. Honestly, I would say this is a no-brainer. New Orleans did shut out the Raiders, but I mean, it is the Raiders. Andy Dalton looked well, but Andy Dalton, he is inconsistent most of the time. So because of that, I will go with the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously that, because I mean, look at Lamar. Lamar's been doing phenomenal passing in the air and on the ground, rushing on the ground. He's doing a great job. It's just that defense, they did get Roquan Smith, so maybe Roquan Smith could be the game changer in this. So gotta go with Baltimore.
I'm gonna close this off with an agreement here. Just easy call for me to say that the Ravens beat up. I mean, the Saints, sure, they're no pushover, but I think the Ravens are just easily a better team. Just I see Lamar just running and throwing all over these guys, and I am expecting a really a resurgence from this Ravens defense, especially because of Roquan Smith. I mean, one guy's not gonna just absolutely change a defense, but I mean, it's gonna give him a jolt, and I expect a pretty big defensive stand on Monday night. But I think they'll be held to 10 points or less, and probably a good 14-point victory for the Ravens, which that is going to close out our Week 9 preview. That's basically going to wrap up our milestone 10th episode. Pretty big that we have obviously kept this going as long as we have. Which obviously this was the goal from the start. Just keep it going, keep talking football as much as we can. Just a nice little escape from our daily lives, but just real enjoyable to keep doing this with you, obviously, Christian. Just two guys talking football, man, and it's been fun, and let's keep going for another couple more episodes this year.
Yeah, man. Obviously, we just like to say to the people who've been sticking around, thank you. It's really, really great for us, starting this podcast we've been having for a couple months. We finally did it. So it's really good, We'd just like to thank all of you for sticking around, helping us out a bit, to get away with everything we do in our, obviously, like I said, in our normal lives, just kind of get away from everything. And it's doing really well. But that's pretty much it. Other than thank you, everybody. We appreciate all of you so far. With our very small viewers, but whatever we can get is the best we can get. But yeah, this is gonna wrap up our milestone episode 10 of the Beast of All podcast, and we'll see you guys on Sunday morning.